the good guys, why then do you and Hillary want to control and restrict and limit gun manufacturers, gun owners, and the responsible use of guns and ammunition to the rest of us, the good guys, instead of holding the bad guys accountable for their actions? And Mr. President, if I may, I'd like to use Chicago, your hometown, a city that has some of the strictest gun laws in the nation, a city that for decades and still is under Democratic control, a city that has an outrageous and even embarrassing murder rate as my first example. Why can't we round up these thugs, these drug dealers and gang members, and hold them accountable for their actions, or allow the good people in Chicago access to firearms to protect themselves?
An overconfident Trump supporter walked into a town hall with a script full of standard right-wing talking points, thinking he was about to completely trap Barack Obama on gun control. He brought the classic recipe: a pinch of Chicago, a dash of the good guys, and a whole lot of NRA hysteria. Obama calmly stepped up and absolutely dismantled the entire conservative gun narrative piece by piece, using nothing but cold, hard reality.
Themselves.
Good. All right. Well, let me, it's a multi-part question, so let me just say a couple things. First of all, the notion that I or Hillary or Democrats or whoever you want to choose are hell-bent on taking away folks' guns is just not true. And I don't care how many times the NRA says it. I'm about to leave office. There have been more guns sold since I've been president than just about any time in U.S. history. There are enough guns for every man, woman, and child in this country. And at no point have I ever proposed confiscating guns from responsible gun owners. So it's just not true. What I have said is precisely what you suggested, which is, why don't we treat this like every other thing that we use? We used to have really bad auto fatality rates. The auto fatality rate has actually dropped precipitously, drastically, since I was a kid. Why is that? We decided we had seatbelt laws. We decided to have manufacturers put airbags in place. We decided to crack down on drunk driving and texting. We decided to redesign roads so that they were less likely to have a car bank. We studied what is causing these fatalities using science and data and evidence, and then we slowly treated it like the public health problem it was, and it got reduced. We are not allowed to do any of that when it comes to guns, because people, if you propose anything, it is suggested that we're trying to wipe away gun rights and impose tyranny and martial law. Do you know that Congress will not allow the Center for Disease Control to study gun violence? They're not allowed to study it, because the notion is that by studying it the same way we do with traffic accidents, somehow that's going to lead to everybody's guns being confiscated. When we talked about background checks, if you buy a car, if you want to get a license, first of all, you got to get a license. You have to take a test. People have to know that you know how to drive. You don't have to do any of that with respect to buying a gun. And when we talked about doing effective background checks, it was resisted, because the notion was we were going to take your guns away. I just came from a meeting today in the Situation Room in which I've got people who we know have been on ISIL websites, living here in the United States, U.S. citizens, and we're allowed to put them on the no-fly list when it comes to airlines. But because of the National Rifle Association, I cannot prohibit those people from buying a gun. This is somebody who is a known ISIL sympathizer, and if he wants to walk in to a gun store or a gun show right now and buy as many weapons as ammo as he can, nothing's prohibiting him from doing that, even though the FBI knows who that person is. So, sir, I just have to say respectfully that there is a way for us to have common sense gun laws. There is a way for us to make sure that lawful, responsible gun owners like yourself are able to use it for sporting, hunting, protecting yourself. But the only way we're going to do that is if we don't have a situation in which anything that is proposed is viewed as some tyrannical destruction of the Second Amendment. And that's how the issue too often gets framed.
Let's start with the actual question the guy asked. He basically accused Obama and Hillary Clinton of trying to restrict the good guys instead of going after criminals. And he threw in Chicago as proof that gun control doesn't work. It's the exact script we still hear today. But Obama blew up the foundational lie of that entire argument right out of the gate. For 8 years, the right-wing media machine told everyone that Obama was coming to steal their guns. But look at the actual data. Gun sales hit historic highs while he was in office. There were literally enough guns sold to arm every man, woman, and child in the country. He never proposed taking weapons from responsible owners. By just stating that simple fact, he showed that the fear of total tyranny isn't a real policy critique. It's just political theater designed to keep people panicked and buying more weapons. The absolute best part of Obama's response was how he compared gun violence to car accidents. It completely changes how you look at the problem. Think about it. When auto fatalities were incredibly high decades ago, society didn't throw its hands up and say, well, bad drivers will always drive fast, so let's do nothing. No, we treated it like a public health issue. We studied the data. We mandated seatbelts and airbags. We cracked down on drunk driving. And we re-engineered dangerous roads. And traffic deaths plummeted. But Obama pointed out that we aren't even allowed to do that with guns. Wait, seriously? Yeah, Congress literally blocked the CDC from researching gun violence for years because the gun lobby was terrified that data would lead to regulation, because of course they were. Think about how wild that is. If your political stance requires banning scientific research because you're scared of what the facts will show, your argument is pretty weak. This leads into the sheer hypocrisy of the political right when it comes to national security. They love talking about being tough on terror, border security, and surveillance. But Obama called out a massive loophole that exists solely because lawmakers are terrified of the NRA. He explained that the FBI could have a U.S. citizen under active surveillance as a known ISIL sympathizer. The government can legally put that person on a no-fly list, so they can't board a commercial airplane. But because of gun lobby pressure, the government couldn't legally stop that same suspected terrorist from walking into a gun store and buying an arsenal of weapons. Let that sink in for a second. You're too dangerous to sit in coach on a Boeing 737, but you're perfectly welcome to buy an AR-15 and thousands of rounds of ammo. There's no logical defense for that. What do you think about the car safety comparison? Does that frame the debate better for you, or do you think the political divide is just too deep to fix? Let me know in the comments below. Drop a like, and I'll see you in the next video.